What's up, guys? This is Maine from the Main Source. We're gonna be going over day one NBA free agency. I'm gonna be giving out some grades based upon what some teams did, what they didn't do. There were some big names floating around this free agency period, at least day one. Some re-signed, some moved on to new teams. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about it. If I'm missing anything, it's later in the night when I'm recording this. Some may happen after I'm done recording, so I'll just address it in the day two video. With that being said, we're gonna move into the Atlanta Hawks with the first team we're gonna go over. So the Atlanta Hawks went out and they did the obvious. They re-signed rising superstar Trey Young to a supermax extension, about 5 years, 170 million, 201 million range. Probably some incentives in there. Obviously, this is like a no-brainer move. Go ahead, picked up their centerpiece for the next 5 to 10 years. They also got re-signed Solomon Hill to a 1-year deal and Gorgie Dang to a 1-year deal. I think those are mid-level signings. Those guys rotational minutes during the regular season obviously will get cut down in the playoffs, but I think it's some solid veteran presence, some guys who've played. I'm going to go ahead and give the Atlanta Hawks a B plus on this one, essentially just for making sure they lock in Trey Young. Going forward, overall free agency grades, if they don't get John Collins, I can see their overall grade going down. I think they should take him right now. I think that's the best option for the Atlanta Hawks in terms of where they're at in their trajectory, and also making sure they have a player they can afford, and maybe trade down the line if they want to pick up another superstar player if John Collins doesn't exactly reach that threshold. So next we're going to get into the Brooklyn Nets. I think the Brooklyn Nets did a fine job here retaining Blake Griffin. Sadly, they weren't able to retain Jeff Green, but holding on to any piece that they could from the past season, especially at a very low number. Blake Griffin's on for about a year, was a great move by the Brooklyn Nets front office. I think that the Brooklyn Nets will get a B grade here, simply due to that fact. Obviously, it can improve going forward if they keep getting guys in, even though they lost Jeff Green. If they keep getting veteran talent in there, they already got some good young guys from the draft. So yeah, B grade here for the Nets. Next up, we got the Chicago Bulls. I think the Chicago Bulls did a phenomenal job on day one of free agency, signing and trading for Lonzo Ball for 4 years, 85 million, picking up Alex Caruso, 4 years, 37 million, also trading for Victor Oladipo, and that Daniel Tice trade to the Rockets. I think they vastly improved in their guard and wing position. Some may say they're a little guard heavy, or um, they may be guard heavy, but I think the length of Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Zach Levine, and the defensive presence that those guys bring to the court, I think kind of overshadows the what would affect other teams if they didn't have lengthy guards like we see with the Chicago Bulls. I'm going to give the Chicago Bulls an A grade here. It's only not an A plus because they didn't go out and sign Kawhi Leonard or somebody like that of that pedigree, but I think the Chicago Bulls did a fantastic job. I think they made themselves a mid-level contender in the Eastern Conference. Not saying that they're going to be the top four teams, but I certainly think they've made their way over the cliff by having Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, or Victor Oladipo at the two, Levine, Patrick Williams, Vucevic, getting other guys to pushing other guys down in the rotation, but it's not a bad thing. It only provides them with more depth. So we'll see where they go after this day going forward, but I think they did a phenomenal job here. So the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't do much of day one free agency, but they did what they were supposed to. They went out and re-signed Jared Allen to a 5-year, $100 million contract. I think it's a solid contract. I think over the years, it'll appreciate in its value for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Interesting to see how the Jared Allen, Evan Mobley experiment will turn out. The Cleveland Cavaliers seem focused on creating a defensive stalwart in their front court. We'll see how that goes for them. But Jared Allen is a very good piece to have for the future, whether that's his value in trades, if they want to go forward and do something like that. If Evan Mobley proves to be a extremely great center that doesn't need somebody like Jared Allen clogging the lane with him. But I think the Cavs did what they were supposed to. For that, I'll give them a B plus, maintaining Young excellent talent. So the Dallas Mavericks went out and re-signed Tim Hardaway Jr. to a 4-year, $74 million contract, brought back Boban Marjanovic, and picked up Sterling Brown for a 2-year, $6.2 million contract. Honestly, after thinking about this a little bit, I don't think the Dallas Mavericks greatly improved anything. I think they're still missing that number 2 guy or somebody that's, like TNT who can come off the bench and really maintain the flow of the game for the Mavericks when Luka Doncic is out. I'm giving this a B to B minus. I like them retaining some talent from the past year, some guys who proved to be effective for them, but I would have liked them to make their money work better for them. Maybe they do something going forward, maybe with trades or something, but I still think they're missing that one little piece, but we'll see as the days goes on. So the Denver Nuggets went out and signed Jeff Green to a 2-year, $10 million contract, re-signed Will Barton to a 2-year, $32 million contract, and JaMychal Green to a 2-year, $17 million contract. I think the Denver Nuggets did well here. I think they got a lot of bang for their buck. They got some good value, and Jeff Green especially, getting a veteran presence, a guy who can score when others aren't. I think we saw that when Jamal Murray went out, offense kind of deteriorated. There wasn't a lot of guys who can provide consistent offense. Not saying Jeff Green is a consistent scorer, but I think he has those games where he can get hot in the right circumstances, and I think they need more guys like that if they really want to make that next push. I don't think these signings put them past other top teams in the Western Conference, but I think it's some good signings nonetheless. We can see what the Denver Nuggets do going forward, but yeah, solid. I give the Denver Nuggets a B+ grade here, just for what I said, talking about value. Yeah, good pickups. So the Detroit Pistons went out and got Kelly Olynyk to a 3-year, $37 million contract, Corey Joseph to a 2-year, $10 million contract, and Trey Lyles to a 2-year, $5 million contract. There isn't much here that I can say that I like, to be honest. The cap hit on Kelly Olynyk's a little high, in my opinion. Corey Joseph is a fine player, 2 years, $5 million, I guess. Trey Lyles, 2 years, $5 million. We were talking smack about the Detroit Pistons last year. I guess they kind of proved us wrong with the Jeremy Grant signing, but I don't see really much benefit to these guys being here, especially with the development that they want their younger players to go through, providing them with the opportunity to come and have some playing time. So I'm a little confused here. I'm gonna go C- on the Detroit Pistons. I think they could have spent their money in better places, reallocated something. But I guess when you're the Pistons, not saying that the Pistons are historically not somewhere people want to go. I guess you got to spend your money where you can. You got to pick up guys. So yeah, C-. Not loving it, but not the worst. Next up, we got the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets went out and got center Daniel Tyson. They're signing trade with the Chicago Bulls for 4-year, $36 million. And they also got David Nwaba, 3 years, $15 million. Same with the Detroit Pistons. I'm not really loving what the Houston Rockets did here. I think they did good in the draft. They did well in the draft. But I guess providing people with their players with the opportunity to elevate their game, such as Kevin Porter and Jalen Green, I think they're giving them the opportunity of getting the Oladipo out of there. So I see the vision there. I think they could have got a little bit more for Oladipo here. I think it was kind of a fleece job by the Chicago Bulls. Unless I'm missing something. If I'm missing something, let me know. Drop it down in the comments if I missed something on this trade. But I think the Houston Rockets could have got a little bit more for Oladipo, considering what they got for him in the first place, or wherever they traded in the first place. They didn't really get good value on it. But I'm going to give the Houston Rockets a C- as well. Nothing too crazy. I think Daniel Tice is a good backup center. David Nwaba is certainly an effective role piece here. 3 years, $50 million is a little steep, but I would have liked more flexibility on their part. But they're rebuilding, they're retooling, so I think a C- is fair here. So the Pacers go out and re-sign TJ McConnell to a 4-year, $35 million contract, and Torrey Craig to a 2-year, $10 million contract. I think the Pacers generally make very good value moves, very low-key moves that really aren't appreciated by the league that much. I really like TJ McConnell. Always been a TJ McConnell fan since his days in Philadelphia in the trust the process era. I think he fits the DNA, the core of what Indiana wants and what they're looking for, and I think that's a solid retention on their part. Getting Torrey Craig, also a solid role piece. I don't think this makes them super contenders. I don't think either one of these players are superstars. Obviously not superstars, but stars or excellent starters. But I think they are very valuable to what the Pacers want to do. I'm going to give this a B to B minus, depending on what you think of the TJ McConnell cap hit, but nonetheless, I think it's a solid pickup. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Clippers. I don't think there's much to say here. They just went out and re-signed Nicholas Batum to a 2-year contract. Don't know the terms of that yet. It hasn't come out at the time of this recording, but they're like many other contenders. They're trying to keep the guys that they know in their system. I think it's all right signing. Doesn't have eye-popping talent, but I think he contributed well here for the Clippers during the playoffs. So I'm going to give this grade a C plus to B. Nothing crazy, but they're doing what they're supposed to, trying to keep talent at home. So we stay in the Staples Centers and we go to Los Angeles Lakers. They obviously lost Alex Caruso, but they gained Wayne Ellington to a 1-year deal, Trevor Ariza to a 1-year deal, Dwight Howard to a 1-year deal. I think they were able to get some good older guys. I think a couple of these guys sound like the dudes who, I don't want to call them ring chasers, but are looking to get the most of the last few years in the league, and that's what the Lakers need. They don't have any money. They don't have any depth. These are the type of guys you have to go after. I think they're solid guys. Dwight Howard was there before, provided a great physical presence for the Los Angeles Lakers. Trevor Ariza, he's one of those streaky kind of guys. Provide them with another scoring option from the corners, from the wings. And Wayne Ellington obviously can contribute where he needs to, but it's gonna be very interesting where the Lakers go next. I'm gonna give the Lakers a B plus. I think they made some good signings day one, some guys who could really contribute and provide some depth to the Lakers. So B plus for the Lakers. So before we even move on to the Miami Heat, I just want to say I feel for the Toronto Raptor fans. I know this is a tough one, but I think ultimately y'all are happy to see him go ahead and compete somewhere else. But for the Miami Heat, they went out and signed and trade for Kyle Lowry, 3 years, $90 million. They max extensions. Jimmy Butler, 4 years, $184 million. That's insane. PJ Tucker, 2 years, $15 million. Re-signed Duncan Robinson, 5 years, $90 million, and signed guard Max Strus for 2 years, $3.5 million. The Heat make magic. They make things work. I think they did excellent here, getting a bulldog and Kyle Lowry and PJ Tucker, guys who could provide excellent production in the playoffs. I think getting Jimmy Butler back, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. He's aging. Kyle Lowry too. They're both aging guys, but I think the Miami Heat are always in a sort of faux win now mode. They're always like going back and forth. So I can't really slight them for making this type of move. It probably fits in their plan, and who knows, we'll probably see them in the finals this year or something crazy happens. But I still think they're outside of the top 2 or 3 teams in the East, but I certainly think this greatly improved their chances because with injuries anything can happen. But I think great pickup day one for the Miami Heat. I'm going to give them an A plus. Yeah, I think it's going to be an A plus here. I just think, I know I said earlier with superstars, I just think they did the right combination of things to maintain talent in Duncan Robinson and pick up guys that are proven contributors. So the Milwaukee Bucks, the championship Milwaukee Bucks, got their guy back in the city, Bobby Portis Jr. on a 2-year, $99.5 million with a player option in the second year. I think it's a good pickup. Bobby Portis means a lot to the city. I know they love him. It's a solid pickup. He's not super great, but he provides a good depth to that team and a good energy. I think he's an integral piece, just like we talked about TJ McConnell. I think he's a solid guy to have here in the city of Milwaukee. I'm going to give them a B grade. So the pressure's kind of been on the New Orleans Pelicans to make some drastic moves here, as reports of Zion Williamson being upset. I think obviously letting Lonzo Ball go, there was some turmoil going on, but I think they did all right. They signed and traded for Devontae Graham. They got Garrett Temple. I think both of them are some solid contributors. Devontae Graham, especially with his shooting, he helps space out the floor for guys like Brandon Ingram and especially Zion Williamson to make plays um, at the basket. I I give the New Orleans Pelicans a B plus here. I think the spacing is valuable. Hopefully they can get to the eighth, seventh seed in the West. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they pick up some more guys here in free agency. Hopefully their young guys develop. We'll see. We'll see what happens. New York Knickerbockers go out and get Evan Fournier to a 4-year, $78 million contract. Derrick Rose to a 3-year, $43 million. Nerlens Noel to a 3-year, $32 million. Reggie Bullock to a 3-year, $30 million. Alec Burks to a 3-year, $30 million as well. Obviously, the New York Knicks had money to blow this free agency period, and that's exactly what they did. They brought back some of their core players. I know Tom Thibodeau loved to bring back those guys, so they also picked up scorers like Evan Fournier. Um, I think it's solid pickups. I think money could be spent better elsewhere. Maybe getting DeMar DeRozan. I'm not sure what their cap situation looks like as of now, but that sounds like a lot of money that they just spent. So I don't know if that option's still on the table. But I give it a B plus. I think they retained some good talent. They got some good guys here, but I would have liked them to get another really good contributor, especially a guy like DeMar DeRozan. They had some mutual interest going on there. I wish they would have pulled the trigger on that one, but we'll see what they do here, and especially with their younger guys developing as well. So B plus. This is excellent news. I thought I was gonna have to put a picture of Mike Muscala up on my screen. Luckily, I got a Woj bomb that said Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was extended to a 5-year, $172 million contract. I love what the Thunder did here, making sure they have a franchise cornerstone for the next 5 years. I know there's some stability here at OKC. I know their fans appreciate that with all the flux that they've had with their guards, especially. So having the guy that they're happy to build around for the next couple of years is a great move on their part. I was originally going to give the OKC Thunder a C minus, but I'm going to give them an A minus. I really like SGA. I think he's a great guard. Going forward, I think they made an excellent move here. So the Philadelphia 76ers go ahead and sign Furkan Korkmaz to a 3-year, $15 million contract. I personally think this is a very good signing by the Philadelphia 76ers. They get value shooting. I think he greatly improved over the last couple of years for the Philadelphia 76ers. I hope that they would go and try to make something happen via trade or via getting somebody else. They obviously lost Dwight Howard, so they need to fill up the backup big role. I know they got Charles Bassey and some other players in the draft, but I think they could venture more into getting veteran help. The clock's ticking on the Sixers. They need to make something happen. But for this pickup is here, I'm gonna go C. I think it's a good pickup. He's not a star player, but he provides a lot of value through his shooting for the Philadelphia 76ers. God knows they need it. Portland Trailblazers go ahead and extend Norman Powell to a 5-year, $90 million contract. They get Cody Zeller on a 1-year deal. I like this move by the Portland Trailblazers. I think it's what their market demands, kind of like what fits their market. They have to do things like this. I like this extension even more if Dame Lillard stays. If he goes, I'm a little bit less of a fan of it because it is so much money, but I think for where they are now, I still don't think it puts them over the top, but I think it's one of those guys that is an effective scorer. He can light up the box score. It's a good move, and I think Cody Zeller also is a great backup big man for the Portland Trailblazers. I think I'm gonna give them a B here for re-signing Norman Powell. They didn't do anything crazy, but I think it's a good signing here. The Sacramento Kings go and sign Maurice Harkless to a 2-year, $9 million contract and center Alex Len to a 2-year, $7.6 million contract. There's not much to say about these pickups. I think they're low tier role players. They're not excellent, but they're good. The Kings kind of in a weird spot right now, I think, with their franchise. They obviously have De'Aaron Fox, which they extended him, which is great, and he's their foundational piece. But everything just kind of seems cluttered in that franchise. They really need to go and make a big signing or a big trade to get some either very young, valuable pieces in or get another guy to pair along with De'Aaron Fox. We'll see what they do. Hopefully in these next couple of days of free agency, they make something shake and really brighten their horizons. I'm gonna give this a C minus on my grade. C minus. Yeah, I'm not feeling it, to be honest. Once again, sorry to the Toronto Raptor fans for losing Kyle Lowry, but I think we can look upon brighter horizons as the Toronto Raptors went out and re-signed Gary Trent Jr. to a 3-year, $54 million contract. Honestly, I think that's pretty good value. I think he has a player option in his third year, but I think he's a good young talent. Um, Provides a little bit of both offensive and defense potential there. It's a solid pick. I give you guys a B. There's probably more that could have been done, but focusing on the Kyle Lowry and what the return is going to look like, um, I think you guys are in a good position. I think this is a solid day one for the Toronto Raptors. So last but certainly not least, we got the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz resigned Mike Conley to a 3-year, $72 million extension. I, it's like many other places across the league. These smaller markets, you have to maintain your talent. That's exactly what the Utah Jazz did. Great player, Mike Conley. Hopefully, he's healthier next year. He's aging, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I think it's a solid pickup or solid re-signing on a excellent guy. Finally, his first All Star appearance last year. I'm gonna give the Utah Jazz a B plus for maintaining Mike Conley, not letting him get away. And hopefully, they can see the one seed again and maybe get a little bit further in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. So that wraps it up for my coverage of NBA free agency day one. Hopefully, you agreed with me. If you disagree with me, leave a comment. If you agree with me, leave a comment. Tell me what you think is going to happen in the next coming days concerning Kawhi Leonard, DeMar DeRozan. We'll see if they re-sign with their teams or they move on somewhere else. Kawhi's probably staying. You never know with that guy anyway. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, share with your friends. Be like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. Or be like, hey, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But thanks for sticking by. Hopefully we do some more videos in the future. Cover day 2. And we'll see what happens. Appreciate for watching. Have a good day.